The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course Sirius XM channel 158. It's Gill Alexander alongside Kelley Bydlon. Kelley Bydlon, it says right there on the screen. Kelley Bydlon.
That's right.
Or who was it called? Matt Brown called you Kelley Bidley? What did he call you that one time?
Yeah
Kelley Bidley.
Wound up with the intro for the pod and then screwed up my name, yeah.
Spanky coming up on the show. Wes Reynolds alongside here momentarily to talk multiple sports. Wes has a great point about something in hockey, which we were throwing around on our group text yesterday. We get tweets at Beating the Book, Jesse Welch. Gill, who won? This is Gill talking now. He says, quote, who won the Hustle Award? Was it Draymond? Somebody won the Hustle Award. That perfectly summarizes how much we care about these stupid awards. Jamie Leva, Fiendin' is an excellent Jodeci song. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, Gill. Yes, it was. I feel like Gold member having to make a comment every time I hear a song title. Have a great day, gentlemen.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't even know. Sometimes I wonder how many on average I just miss a show. Like how many references?
Sorry.
How many musical references by Gill Alexander do I miss a show?
Oh, at least 3.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably where I put it too.
I'll say two or three a day.
Yeah, two or three a day.
You know who never misses one?
Who?
Wesley Reynolds.
That's right.
That kid knows everything. Wes Reynolds, part of the glue that holds this whole operation together, joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at Wes Reynolds 1. That's the number 1 co-host, of course, of the greatest golf podcast there ever was, Long Shots, along with Kelley Bidley and Mateo Moreno, Matt Brown. How you doing, Wes?
I don't know if Kelley Bidley is familiar with New Jack Swing like we are.
You know,
I
don't think so.
Jodeci reference. Fiendin' a great one. Come and Talk to Me, Cry for You, Forever My Lady, the remake of Stevie Wonder's Lately from the MTV Unplugged that Jodeci did. A great New Jack Swing band from the early 90s.
Listen to Wes Reynolds. Goes through the whole catalog. By the way, Kelley, Come and Talk to Me and Forever My Lady, they're hits of all time. I will say this, Wes, about the Lately remake, a little pitchy. Their Lately remake was a little pitchy, if I might suggest that.
You sound like Randy Jackson.
Yeah.
Little pitchy dog.
Little pitchy dog.
Little pitchy dog.
Yeah.
Little old school American back when people watched that program.
Let me ask you about the hockey thing first that I just teased, because you made a great point, because it was something that I was texting, or not I was, but a bunch of us were texting back in the group chain yesterday, which is this notion of, it used to be, right, Wes, the old adage was, man, game 7s in the NBA and the NHL, but particularly the NHL, boy, oh boy, that was an underfest. Not anymore, huh?
No, absolutely not. It used to be you could print money on these things. You weren't going to win all of them. You would get a phony empty netter at the end or something. So you wouldn't win all of them. But if there were 10 game 7s in a playoff, you were probably going to hit like 6 of them, at least if you go to the under and at least profit. But it used to be, too, that these totals would be priced at under 5.5, juice to the under, that you could even feel safe at betting under 5 at plus money, at like plus $1.35 or $1.40. That you could do that and feel like, okay, I'm going to get 2-1, 3-1, or 3-0 out of this, and we're going to move on and cash a ticket. But if you saw on Saturday, of course, Colorado-Dallas, by the way, was 1-0 after 2 periods. And all of a sudden, Colorado gets one real quick in the 3rd period, and it's 2-0, because what you want in a game like that, you want that game tied, or you want that game within 1 goal, because you don't want them pulling the goaltender with like 5 minutes left to go, especially in an elimination game, which they're going to have to do. Desperation comes in, but that just got to chaos. And Rantanen, the former Av, who's now with the Dallas Stars, gets a hat trick in the 3rd, and they get the goal, the empty netter, by the way, 2.7 seconds last night, or Saturday night. I don't know what it was last night with Winnipeg and St. Louis, but Winnipeg, it's 3-2. So yeah, 1.6. So it's 3-2, by the way, where 5.5, it got bet to the under so much, it closed 5 over, juiced the over at so many spots. There weren't even any 5.5s, I think, at the close of business before face-off. So, man, yeah, you can't bet the unders anymore in Game 7. You've got to be very, very judicious.
So here's the obvious follow-up to that. Is there anything to that? Or is it just randomly that these have just, have these dramatic finishes that have forced overtime? Is there anything at play that is causing this legitimately?
Yeah, it might be a little bit of both, Gill, and I will readily admit I don't bet a ton of hockey in the regular season. I certainly follow the sport. I love watching the sport and attending games out here in Las Vegas, but I don't bet a lot in the regular season. But it did seem that the defense and the goaltending used to be a little bit better, and that maybe the teams were a little bit more, I guess, deliberate is maybe the proper term to use. That you didn't want to make that first mistake, right? You were certainly playing your game, but you didn't want to make that crucial mistake. And now I just think that the defense and goaltending maybe has slipped a little bit. Look at the struggles of Connor Hellebuck up there in Winnipeg. Now they got the win last night, but he was getting peppered in game number 6. I think he gave up like 3 goals in about 2 or 3 minutes, and all of a sudden, the jeers and the boo birds were coming out for him, but. I can't get into like the hockey analytics. You certainly have better people on this network to do that. But the defense and goaltending used to be the old reliable in the NHL. Not so much anymore.
Well, there is something to that because again, I mentioned when the Oilers came back in dramatic fashion in that one game against, I can never remember which game it was. I want to say it was game 5 or game 6. When they stormed back, they tied it up against the Kings. And they ended up winning in overtime. I remember the studio crew for the NHL broadcast, they were just losing their minds about how bad the Kings defense was and how they didn't clear the puck, and they had so many opportunities to do so. And that was kind of the case last night too, right? There was sort of a random clear where they hit it all the way to the end of the ice, so it became face off back in their own zone, instead of sort of trying to control the puck. And so you're right, there is something to that. Perhaps the defensive fundamentals are not what they have been. The only thing, and we won't belabor this anymore, but the other thing that occurs to me about this is, we have the 4 conference semifinal series, obviously, just like we do in the NBA. Let's say we get to another game 7, Wes. I'm laughing because I think I know the answer. It's one thing for us to talk about this on a Monday morning, but in practice, will we actually then say, well, I was going to bet the under here, but I'm not going to anymore, or are we actually going to bet the under again?
Yeah, it's like, okay, Reynolds, you talk about it, or you're going to be about
That's
it. That's
right.
And I'm going to have to resist. I'm going to have to resist temptation because I'm going to be like, man, this under's got to be right. And the bookmakers know this too, so they're going to tax these things. And that functions the same way with the NBA playoffs. Like look at tonight with Denver and Oklahoma City, 9.5. That number's already taxed because you've got a well-rested team against a team that just had to go through a really tough 7-game series. So you're not fooling anybody. So this time of year, if you're looking for a quote unquote line value or price value, you're not going to find it. So a lot of times it's keep it simple, and you just got to go with your gut in a lot of these games.
I'll tell you one that fooled me, though, guys, was that game 7 total for that Rockets-Warriors game yesterday, because that was what I was planning on betting that under. Came in, it was installed, probably about 5 points short, less than I thought it was going to be, and then it got bet up 6 points yesterday, and I'm like, all right, well, in theory, it's moving in the direction where I should get in on the under now, but where is all this money and steam coming from? And then easy under at the end of the day.
Wes, do you have a play on either of the 2 games tonight in the NBA with those big spreads?
Nothing tonight. Lean a little bit. Knicks actually getting 9.5 because, of course, we saw it come to fruition last night. Everybody picks one team, and the other team's like, hey, we're here in this series too. And maybe that's going to be the Knicks, because I did find it interesting that this was 8.5, and they had several days to bet this because this series, this price has been up for several days, and you really didn't get any movement to the Celtics until today. Now you're seeing some 9. I think you got 9.5 right behind you there at Circa. And I would lean Knicks in the spot. I think the Celtics are going to win the series, and I'm not high on that Knicks team anyway, because I really think that the Pistons, when you take the holistic view of the series, I thought that they were the better club for more of the series, even though they lose in 6 games. I just felt that it was a young team that made mistakes down the stretch against a veteran team, and that's what happens. I didn't think the Knicks were that much better than the Pistons, but this could be buy low on the Knicks. In terms of the Oklahoma City Denver, I could only bet Oklahoma City, but I feel like you're laying the worst of it now, because I do feel you've got a Denver team that's a little bit on fumes. And you had two rested teams last night, and it was the road team that was able to win. So sometimes it's that rest versus rust deal. So nothing for me probably at the current price on Denver, Oklahoma City. And then I really don't do a lot of player props in game one either, because I don't know how the series is going to play. So I think sometimes, you want to get in on action and you want to bet these player props. These series are totally different from the first round. So be a little bit judicious, I think, if you're playing player props. Wait a game or two before you get involved in that.
Warriors, T-Wolves. I'm saving your Pacers for after the break, but Warriors, T-Wolves, your thoughts on that series?
Well, I think this is going to be a heck of a series because I think what you have, Gill, with these two teams, you have a bunch of ornery SOBs on both of these teams. And I think that makes for good basketball. You have Draymond on one side, Jimmy Butler, and then you have Ant-Man. Who's more ornery than that guy? And that's why I love watching the guy play, because he's just like he kind of just lets it fly. He's unfiltered, and that's what I love about watching Ant-Man. So I think that this is going to be a really good series. I think you're going to have probably a couple kerfuffles at some point over a 7-game series between these two teams, but would lean Minnesota in terms of the series price. I think you could get about $1.80 now at standpoint. So would lean T-Wolves, but as of yet, no play. But we are starting to see sevens for game one on Tuesday.
I'm a Warriors guy, as I say many times, but I would imagine if Draymond didn't play for that team, I would despise him.
Yeah, of course you would.
I would despise him. I already dislike him, and he plays for them.
Yeah, right.
I can't. Not enough is made. As much as people despise him, I don't think it's enough. We'll come back. Wes's thoughts on his Pacers and golf next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Now all I got is Jodeci in my head. Playing a Jodeci songbook on the way home. Want to know where the money's really going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings, giving you insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa, known for taking big bets from professional bettors, while DraftKings provides something a little different. That means you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the kind of wagers that move lines. See the percentage of bets versus percentage of handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 for your first month at vsin.com/subscribe. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Love you guys because you fill in the blanks, you add, and then when I say fill in the blanks, there's often stuff I want to talk about, and then inevitably over 2 hours I forget, I forgot to mention this one thing, right? And that's why someone like Michael Harrison's tweet is fantastic, where he says, I'm probably aging myself here, but when did the NBA become a grown men's fashion show? Teams wearing different jerseys every game, away teams wearing white, both teams wearing solid colors. The whole thing drives me nuts. Michael Harrison, get off my lawn. I'm with you on this. Okay, can I just say this?
I thought he was going to go off about the actual fashion show that occurs with players walking in and out of the arena.
Oh, no, okay. That I love. That I love.
that you love.
No, that I love. But
big Kyle Kuzma fashion guy.
I'm a big guy. I love that kind of stuff because they're ridiculous. But I agree with what Michael is saying. I believe what he's referring to, at least this is what I'm thinking about, is, last night, Houston, first of all, the center court was this great throwback to the old days of the Summit, the old Houston logo, and on their jerseys, they decided to go with H-Town, and H-Town in such a blocky logo that unless you were up close to them, you could not tell what it said. So when they did the normal shot from center court, you're like, what is that parallelogram that's on their jersey? You couldn't see that it said H-Town. That was that. And then remember the Grizzlies decided, because it was the 30-year anniversary of the Vancouver Grizzlies, I believe it was 30, to go with the Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys during the playoffs. Do that in the regular season. Do not do this in the playoffs. Because OKC could have just as well worn their Sonics jerseys.
Yeah.
Why don't you wear the Supersonics jerseys then, OKC? Like if that's what they're doing.
I'm not going to defend any of this because I agree with you for the most part, but it's a lot of sports these days.
Get
right?
off my lawn.
Like
I'm with you, Michael
University
Harrison.
of Houston rocking like the Oilers jerseys in football too. Like I don't know. The rules have gone out the window.
C. Spackler, despise Draymond? He says, your semantics are too weak to properly express my feelings about Draymond. I think he hates him more than I do. I get it. And Danny Rode points out the Warriors have not been a series underdog in any playoff series since 2014. How about that? First time in more than 10 years. They were last underdogs before a series in round one of the 2014 postseason when they were plus 170 versus the Clippers. Remember, that was the one where they lost in 7. That also was like a younger Warriors team versus I believe the Chris Paul-led Clippers teams, if I'm not mistaken. So that was kind of that kind of thing as well, with how you have to kind of just do it step by step in the NBA. Wes Reynolds kind enough to join us for a second segment. Before we get to other things, your Pacers, Wes, 1-0 series lead against the Cavaliers. They take home court with a 121-112 win over the Cavaliers in Game 1 yesterday. Sustainable or not? Do you think they could win this series, and are you tempted by a plus 170 adjusted series price?
I think that they can win this series. I don't think that they will. I bet this a little bit conservative before the series. I took plus 2.5 minus $1.25 on the Pacers, which is basically saying, okay, this is at least going to go 6 games, but it's going to depend on what the 3-point variance is. And you saw it, I think, play out last night. Pacers made 19 threes. Cavs only make 9. Plus 30 in threes. And that's how the Cavs, I mean, one of the many ways they blitzed Miami in the first round. The Cavs, I think they made, I want to say, let me get these numbers right. I think they made 78 threes over the course of 4 games. So almost 20 threes a game, 19 and a half a game against Miami. It's usually the Cavs that win the 3-point volume, right? But it was the Pacers last night, 19-9, and Pacers just got off to a really good start. Now, can they keep that up? I want to see how the Cavs adjust, because the Cavs, I think, they can score in the paint on the Pacers, especially when Miles Turner is out of the game. And one of the things I think you're going to see Atkinson do, you know, we were talking about like player props potentially to attack as we go forward in this series. Evan Mobley to me has got to be the guy for Cleveland. You know, Donovan Mitchell is going to be the guy that's the closer and the finisher, but Evan Mobley is the guy that I think Cleveland has to use in attack mode, especially when Miles goes to the bench. When Turner goes to the bench, the Pacers don't really have a rim protector, because then who are you left with to guard Evan Mobley? You're left with Pascal Siakam and Obi Toppin, who's a great energy guy, by the way, off the bench, had some good minutes last night. Too small to guard Evan Mobley. And then you put, I hate to say this about my brother and Thomas Bryant, who gave them some good minutes in the early fourth quarter last night, but he's not fast enough to guard Evan Mobley. So that's a guy that you have to target. It can't be all guards. And what we saw last night, too, Ty Jerome, who I really like, and you know, Kelley follows this all year, knows how valuable Ty Jerome is in this Cavs rotation off the bench. Ty Jerome taking 22 shots is not a recipe for the Cavaliers to win this series or to really win many games in this series. He's a guy, look, he can give you some offense off the bench, but way too many. So I just felt Cleveland, you know, they maybe were a little bit rusty. They were throwing in some zone looks, and the Pacers were shooting over that zone. And the Pacers, you know, they'll pull up from those threes in transition. Tyrese Halliburton will pull from 30 feet, and these shots, it's like that doesn't have a chance to go in, and they do. So, you know, I think the Pacers are right there. I thought the price before the series was a little bit too high. I think all these series prices are probably too high, but do you have the stomach to back the underdog? Because I think from the number standpoint, they probably are too high. Denver's probably too high of an underdog against Oklahoma City when you got the best player in the world.
I agree.
But do I have the stomach for that in over a 7-game series?
I'm going to have a stomach for one of them, either the Warriors or the Nuggets, maybe both. And maybe even, I don't know if I could do the Pacers yet, but real quick before we move on, Wes had 2 spectacular points in the first segment. We don't usually do cliff notes on previous segments, but the Kelley wanted to chime in the props in game 1s.
Well, I wanted to mention a couple of them that I don't want them, you know, people to just cruise by what Wes said, because it is important. I think if you're a regular player prop bettor in the NBA, and that's something that you do on a regular basis, you know, fine, stick to your same routine. You know what the deal is here, that these matchups and different rotations are going to change from series to series. But if you're someone who likes to get involved with that at this time of year because there's less to bet on, what Wes said is very important. Realize that those things do change from series to series, and if you don't really have a good feel for what things are going to look like in a specific matchup, there is nothing wrong with waiting a couple games and getting a better feel for how a certain team's going to attack the other. And then the other one I just wanted to circle back to is, I'd be like, Wes, I definitely pay attention to things like, that Knicks-Celtics line, it's been up. It's moved half a point. Moved to half a point. Meanwhile, we've seen Golden State, Minnesota move about 2 points already since it opened last night to where it's at this morning. So, yeah, I think those are important things to keep note of here in the playoffs.
Remember we said on primetime action, we used to always marvel at how the line wouldn't move, and then finally Friday night it would start to like move in a frenzy, and we'd be like, "What?" It's because we're so close to the sun. We don't realize that most people, right, the new millions and millions of people that have betting available to them, they're not as proactive, let's say, as we are. Wes, real quick in our last 2 minutes, Scotty Scheffler, 31 under. He wins the Byron Nelson by 8 strokes over EVR Eric Van Rooyen. I was going to text Kelley yesterday as he was getting to 30 under. I was like, wow, 30 under. Is he going to get 30 under? And then I was going to ask him, oh my God, what's the record? And then they flashed up a graphic. They're like, oh yeah, Matsuyama just did 35 under with Morikawa doing 32 under at the Century earlier this year. Do you like this kind of golf? Do you like it where it's just a birdie fest, just generally?
No, I don't. I really don't, especially when you don't have a lot of winners, which I didn't this weekend for the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson. And but I like it to be a little bit more of a test. Maybe we'll get that this week at the Philadelphia Cricket Club, a one-time venue for the Truist Championship, even though this is only a little bit over 7,100 yards. I think this is a little bit more strategic, a little bit more, put out like a major championship test. It's A.W. Tillinghast. It is the designer of this course. He did Bethpage Black, Wingfoot, much longer courses, but I don't like birdie fest type of golf. I don't like, 31 under winning. I like this to be a little bit more of a grind. That's why the U.S. Open is always my favorite of the 4 majors, because it's like you got to really bust it to break par at the U.S. Open. And I like that. And I like these guys getting humbled a little bit and having to grind for pars and having to make, great par saves and bogey saves just to stay in it. So no, I don't like that type of golf, but fortunately Scotty Scheffler not in the field in Philadelphia this week, so I don't have to lose to him, but Rory McIlroy is.
Yeah, Rory's 4-1, everybody else 14-1 or longer, starting with Colin Morikawa. You will have your full plays on long shots, as will Kelley, as will Matt. And then the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Just throw out one name that you think you might be looking at for that, Wes, just to tease us with that.
Well, one that won a couple weeks ago, Justin Thomas at Quail Hollow, and he's won 2 PGAs, 2 Wanamakers, so I think that he could play very well here. But we know Rory McIlroy, 4-time winner of the old Wells Fargo, which is now the Truist Championship, going to be certainly the favorite at the PGA next year.
Yeah, will Rory win more than one major this year? It's gone from his career slam to that now. Wes, thank you as always, man. Appreciate it.
You bet, guys. Thank you.
Wes Reynolds, everybody. Spanky on the other side. Bet Bash and MLB Handicapping next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This summer, go all in at Circa Las Vegas with the ultimate getaway package, just $400 all in. All right, usually I just read through these promos.
This one's insane.
But this one's insane. $400 all in. You'll get a 2-night stay at Circa, $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, and your very own day bed at Stadium Swim, where the party don't stop. Kelley, you know that. You're always out there. All for just $400. Resort fees and taxes included. That means no additional fee. It's $400, all included. This limited time offer valid for stays between May 26th and September 4th. Don't miss out. Lock in your all-in summer package now at circalasvegas.com. I may get this just for a staycation.
So I told you last week I sent this immediately to a few friends I know that we're discussing coming out here at different points this summer. I know 2 have already utilized it. It's an incredible deal.
They're totally selling this out. Totally selling this out.
Yeah.
We get tweets at Beating the Book. Brian M. I agree the NBA has too many jerseys, but as a Bruins fan, I love the nights where they wear throwbacks versus Carolina in the Whalers uniforms. I agree with all of that stuff, and as long as you're doing it in the regular season, have at it, right? But just don't do it in the playoffs. Again, last night, if you were going to do it in the playoffs, they had the old Rockets logo at the summit, and they actually had the words "the summit" in the middle of the court. The Rockets, this just in, won titles wearing their old Rockets jerseys. Why not wear those if you were going throwback instead of doing some H-Town alternative jersey? How many times, I bring up primetime action again, second straight segment, but how many times during primetime action, me, Kelley, and Matt, and we would be watching baseball, and I would say to Kelley, oh, look, Kelley, the Red Sox are in their traditional yellow tonight.
I think the ones that actually get me more upset are when the team wears a color that doesn't they don't like ever wear or doesn't match the court at all.
This is what Jamie Leva says. I'm cracking up at the NBA fashion show comment. My brother notices 19 different colored shoes and immediately shouts uniform repeatedly at the TV. Half the time the shoe color isn't even represented in the uniform.
Yeah, that one too. That one's absolutely true. But like when the Kings bust out their red uniforms, or like the Grizzlies, same thing, or the Magic wear black and orange, and they're like, what? And like the court's the same. Court's the same as it always is. So you're like, why is there 3 teams playing?
Black and orange.
Yeah, the black and orange ORL.
Are the Orioles playing? Are the Giants playing anything? Ladies and gentlemen, he is a man who does many things. First and foremost, he is a professional bettor. That is the very first thing he is. But after that, he's got himself quite a little cottage industry and a lot of things. He's the host of the Be Better Bettors podcast. He is the creator of SpankOdds. He is the creator of Bet Bash, and he is also the creator of this really cool MLB handicapping contest that's going on for those of us who have SpankOdds. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow him on Twitter at Spanky. It's Spanky, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. How you doing, man?
Gill, thanks so much for having me on. Always a pleasure. Kelley, how are you guys?
We're doing well.
Doing
man.
great.
Thank you. First of all, let me just ask you about the podcast first. Be Better Bettors. When is the next episode? How often do you do episodes? And how much have you enjoyed transitioning into this media kind of Spanky character?
I appreciate it. Yeah, I haven't done, we only put a few episodes out a year now. I used to do it every week. And then, I'm the kind of, I don't have any sponsors, so I don't have any pressure to have to put something out. If I get a guest that I really want to bring on, or somebody, most of the guests that I want to have on don't want to come on because they're in faraway places and have probably performed illegal acts in the bookmaking world. So they're kind of a little bit gun shy. But no, I try to, get an episode if I get finally convince somebody to come on. And then once I do, then I put it out, and I really, really love it. It's a great time. And, if I could share with the community some of these stories that some of these legends have, it's always a pleasure. You
do a podcast that no one else could do. That's how I would say it. Like, honestly, for those of us who have done podcasts for a lot of years and are super proud of our work, yours is its own thing. It is because you have the connections that no one else does. So I invite people to check it out when Spanky does put out episodes of Be Better Bettors, and all the past podcast episodes are available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, SpankOdds. You are doing this MLB handicapping contest. You and I were just talking about this off air. I am having a great time with it. It's about 200 people. Can you explain to folks what this is?
Well, it's about 200 people. Essentially, you have to be able to put in 240 bets using SpankOdds, which is free to download, free to use, by the All-Star break. And whoever wins the most units becomes the winner. When you could bet for a full game and first 5 innings, side total, run lines, money lines, and totals. You can't double pop. You can't bet overnight lines. There's a couple of rules there. I see, Gill, if you don't mind me sharing, I see, you're in 23rd place out of almost 200 people with a respectable 33, 22, and 7.
Oh.
So Gill, I love it, man. You're in the running here, but anybody can enter at any time. That's the beautiful thing about it. Some people don't start betting the baseball until right about now, because they want to have a good month of data to kind of see how the ball's flying, what kind of balls are using, who's hot, who's not, et cetera, et cetera. So, you can enter this contest at any time as long as you have 240 track bets before the All-Star break.
240.
20,000.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Spanky.
$20,000 in prizes total. So, and it's free to enter. There's no cost of anything. We kind of want people to use the software. I'd love to, if you could share your how you like using SpankOdds, Gill, if you could share your experience.
I love it. It's free to download SpankOdds. And it's great just to have up on your screen for all. It's really seamless. Every sport you want to bet. There's drop down menus that make it easy. For instance, in baseball, if you want to go to first 5, there's a very simple drop down menu, and the odds come right back up. It's super cool that way. And as far as the contest, we're doing the NBA VSiN Killer Sports Challenge on the one hand. We're doing that at the VSiN site. So I'm doing the NBA contest. But every day on SpankOdds, I just click on, so in other words, the game that I want to play, and this is Circa Odds and Bet Chris, bookmaker. Those are the only 2 numbers we're allowed to use in this contest. You simply click on it, and you put in your pick, you submit. It's for 1 unit every time. and it's just a daily practice for me to do this, and it's so much fun. And I just have one rules question for you. So now some of the ones that I do are first fives, and I was looking at, I was trying to get to 240. If I push on a first five, is that not counted as a bet unit?
Well, no, we are going to count it. We just don't have it on a column. But yes, if you push on a first five, we'll count it. However, we're not counting rain delay, rain outs. So different. If you're pushing on a first five is good. Pushing on a rain out or something where the game wasn't played, we're not going to count it. But if it gets close, if somebody's at 239, we're always going to give the participant the benefit of the doubt. We want to count everything, and I know some people are going to blow the 240 number out the water, and some people are going to barely get there.
Yeah.
But as long as there's 240 pieces, we're going to be fine with it.
I'm a barely get there kind of guy. And again, there's a reason that we're having Spanky on one more time to do this here early May is because a month from now, if we did this in June, you're only going to have 6 weeks to get 240 in. That becomes a little mashugana at that point. So get in there. The easiest way to download SpankOdds is how?
SpankOdds.com.
Okay.
And then the contest and the rules are there, and you can download it, and it's free to download. And it's not on mobile device. We're going to be launching a mobile device eventually this summer, but for now, it's just on desktop, PC or Mac.
Okay. The other thing I mentioned that you do, of course, which is for all of us in sports betting, the mecca is Bet Bash. You texted earlier this morning. You said 99 days away till Bet Bash. What numbers? I've lost track. What number is this now? 3, 4? What is this?
This is 5. This is the 4th one in Las Vegas, 5th overall. We're at Bet Bash 5. Gill, we're so excited, man. 5 open bars, expert panels, more than 20 educational seminars. We got a speed networking event, the Circus Sportsbook watch party, the Stadium Swim watch party. We got a scavenger hunt. And then to cap it off, we have the Sports Gambling Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's just a phenomenal event. We look forward to it every year. This event has changed lives in the sports gambling community. The networking itself is incredible. So many people have testified and said, my God, this is incredible how much this conference has done for me. If you like sports betting and you could be an amateur to an expert and anyone in between, this is the conference for you. Check us out. betbash.co is the website.
betbash.co. And what are the dates this year, Spanky?
Dates are August 12th through the 15th.
August 12th through the 15th. Wow, 5. I'm like, even as you're saying that, I'm like, I don't think he's right. It can't be 5. But you're right. There was one on the East Coast, right? And then this is the 4th one.
Yeah, there was one in Jersey City.
Right.
As like a proof of concept test. It was a one night only. Once we had 220 people show up from all over the world in Jersey City, New Jersey, I thought, you know what? I think we could make this thing happen in Las Vegas for a multi-day event. Pitched it to Derek Stevens and Matt Metcalf, who was the sportsbook director at the time. They were all in on it, and here we are today, 5 years later, getting ready to do this for a 5th time. So we're really, really stoked and really excited about Bet Bash.
And it's the real Sports Gambling Hall of Fame. It's not the ones that put in just corporate folks. By the way, you know who has managed to avoid every Bet Bash? This guy right here. Kelley Bydlon.
I get killed for it, Spanky. I get killed for it every time.
Kelley, are you out of your mind? What are you doing
I'll
over
be
here?
there
You're
this
killing us.
year.
You got it. That's my man. That's
I'll be there this year. I'm always on vacation.
You're going to have a blast.
betbash.co.
Yeah, I hear you.
betbash.co for everybody who wants to learn about Bet Bash, and then, of course, get into Bet Bash, and tickets will go. There is a limit, so check that out. And the MLB handicapping contest, again, SpankOdds. Download those, SpankOdds.com. Thank you, Spanky. Appreciate it.
Yo, you're the man. Thank you, my friend. Take care, guys.
Coming back with a recap of all our bets.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon. I really mean that, man. It's such a, NFL is obviously king, right? Football season, NFL, college football. But this is such a awesome time of year because of the NHL playoffs being fantastic. We'll talk to Jake Hahn tomorrow about it in earnest. With all his plays, the NBA playoffs, obviously, but I'm just talking about these like 2 handicapping contests going on at the same time. Now, I know the NBA VSiN Challenge one is an invite only, but this Spanky one is so much fun. Anybody can join it. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. Yeah, the NBA's been a lot of fun so far, and these are fun little ways to mix it up as we get through the playoffs or NBA and NHL.
For sure. Speaking of bets, here's the recap of all of our bets on the show today, courtesy of GBank, the official bank of VSiN. I'm on the Padres. I bet them every day against the Buccos these past 3 days here, and it continues tonight. If they can get this game in, rain in the forecast in the Bronx, but it's like it's not like an 80%, 90%. It's like a 40%, 50% throughout the night. So I don't know if they'll play through it or not.
Okay, so question for you. You've got obviously the most May wins ticket on Padres.
Yeah.
You upset if this is a game that gets rained out and summer?
Yeah, because
you are okay.
Yeah,
because they're a dog, right? It's all like.
Yeah, well, the reason is because whenever it'll push it to a double header, typically, and then double headers you have to assume a split.
Yeah,
because the lineups get squirrely. That's my word for double header lineups. Squirrely. Fakakta is what they get. Kelly, say that. Can you say that word?
Fakakta. Nailed it.
I don't know. Fakakta. I don't know if you nailed it. Tonight I'm on the Padres. First 5 and full game. Padres, Pivetta against Rodon. Pivetta's fielding independent, more than a run and a half better than Rodon's. So Padres first 5 plus 120, full game plus 134 tonight in the Bronx, weather permitting. And by the way, so again on the, this is not, we're in Rome now on the tennis tour, still trying to get to Paris here, one tournament in advance still. But remember Iga was minus 175, and I bet her at like when Bookmaker put out the plus 117s and the plus 116s, plus 115s, because like even I wouldn't bet it at minus 175, even in her glory. She's now like plus 145, plus 150. So now it's like, am I going to have to add? Is Wayne Brady going to have to add some more Iga bets? Kelly's all over the Thunder tonight. What do you have?
You definitely will. If it's at plus 145 by tournament week,
a principled wager.
A principal wager right there. Yeah, I'm speaking of principles, I'm over the Thunder tonight. Let's go. Laid 5.5 in the first half, laid 9 for the full game on the open. I even played a little alt 16.5, 2-1. I thought we had a great breakdown from Carl on a lot of these first games and these first series. I'm not necessarily opposed to some of the dog prices, Gill, but I think he nailed it with a couple of these, and especially this game, OKC and Denver. I like Thunder tonight. Give Denver look. It's a 1 day rest versus 8 days of rest. It's what you're going up against. I thought you broke it down well. Is this maybe a Thunder team that could be, quote unquote, a little rusty because they really haven't played all that many games?
4 games in 27 days.
Yeah, I think after last year, especially after this regular season, I think you're going to see a different Thunder team with a different attitude come into game 1 of this tonight. They know that they cannot, despite how good they were all regular season, nothing is handed to you in the NBA, and especially when you're going up with Nikola Jokic, they're going to know this first game is important to get a W with. So a lot of problems for Denver to try to handle on the other side of the ball defensively, with Thunder going to be able to throw at them. I really like OKC tonight.
Yeah,
so
4 games at full strength in 27 days, right. I should say.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Where they cared. Yeah, that's even for the NBA, that's a long rest. Carl Sack is on both favorites tonight. He's laying the wood. Celtics -9, game 1 against the Knicks. Thunder -9.5, game 1 tonight against the Nuggets. A lot of chuckity-chuck tonight.
Yeah, big one with the Celtics tonight was, I've kind of stayed away from that one. I haven't bet anything that series or that game, Celtics or Knicks, Gill, but this... but the big questions I had were, what's the health status? A lot of these guys on Boston and even New York, I guess worth bringing up with Brunson in an ankle. It feels like Brunson and Jimmy Butler are just always playing hurt, right? Like they're always, every playoff game somehow hurt that they're playing through. But Celtics come out yesterday, release an injury report that is completely clear and clean. So, okay, you're telling me Drew Holiday's fine, you're telling me Jaylen Brown's fine, no concerns there, then that's a big concern for New York.
You brought up Butler. Playoff Jimmy yesterday. 20 points, 8 boards, 7 assists. I don't remember anything. I remember 1 3-pointer. The rest of it is he just kind of plays at his pace.
He felt like the 4th most notable Warrior yesterday.
Incredible. All this, by the way, GBank. All of our best bets brought to you by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. Get the GBank Visa signature card today. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances. That's even when you put your own money on the card. GBank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right there. Also, with GBank, you're earning 1% cashback rewards on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cash back rewards on all eligible purchases. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. I just want to say this in general too, because the show today on basketball, a lot, and listen, I'm not saying there's no reason for this, but a lot of love for the favorites, both in game and in terms of series price, right? So Celtics and Thunder tonight, laying the points. You and Carl on the Thunder both. Carl said he thinks both of those prices are probably right on the series price. Did he say that? Am I misquoting him on that? I feel like here's the point I'm getting to. I feel like I'm uncomfortable with the outright love for all the favorites here. Right? Even Cleveland down 1-0 in the market, right? Indiana still plus 175 dog, right? I'm not saying they shouldn't be a dog down 1-0 based on what the pre-flop price was, but plus 175 again just feels a little high. I'm just saying there is going to be a dog here in one of these 4 series that wins outright, and there's going to be a second one that makes it hella close, as they say in the Bay. And I think we didn't give enough credit to that today. That's what my instinct is telling me. Now, if it comes back and it's 4 blowouts, don't come crying to me. But that's my instinct. And if I come to you from the future, Kelley, and I say, guess what? I was right. One of these dogs won the series outright, and one of them pushed it to, let's say, a game 7. Who's the one that won it outright? Meaning Knicks.
Warriors.
Before I could even go to the choices.
This is actually easy for me to answer.
It's the Warriors.
It's
and
easy.
I agree that's who it is.
I think Carl got trapped up in his words earlier, and I would have done the same thing. I kind of chuckled
because the Pacers are up 1-0.
Because the Pacers are up 1-0,
yeah.
so you can't dismiss that. It does. They took a game, and the Darius Garland injury does change where we sit with this Cleveland series. But my answer would be Warriors win outright. Indiana Pacers make it uncomfortably close.
Yeah, okay. There's the answer. I think I would say Warriors win outright. No surprise there from me. Because I do. Again, I think people are dismissing them, and it's like, how many times do we have to do this? How many years in a row do we have to do this? I think the team that makes it close, and this is where me and the Hardos definitely separate, I think the Nuggets put a scare into the Thunder. Whereas I feel like no one is taking that position. After all, as we said in the first round against the Clippers, they do have the best player in the world. They don't have home court this time, mind you, but they do have the best player in the world. And oh, by the way, they've won a championship. And this career of Jamal Murray cannot be emphasized enough. There is no equivalent to a guy who has never made an all-star team that is known for just playoff prowess to this degree.
He has the greatest point differential in NBA history from regular season to playoffs.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
So I just have a feeling, and maybe I am not properly respecting the altar, bowing to the altar of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I could be shown the door here on this. But I just feel like we are dismissing the Nuggets way too easily.
Yeah, if Pacers didn't win that game last night, my answers would have been Warriors and then Nuggets, I guess, of pushing it.
So that makes sense.
I mean, look, the two teams you can't deny have experience in this position, and the players that could almost single-handedly get you over the edge are the Warriors and the Nuggets. I'm not going to sit here and argue that. I just think the sum of its parts and where this Thunder's team has gotten to. Yeah, I think the big thing is I don't actually have a problem with it. If you wanted to bet any of the dog prices, I'd like Carl said earlier, though, I would just be waiting past these first games. I think game 1, OKC. I really like OKC in game 1. You want to come back on a monster price on Denver after that? I don't have a problem with that, and I think Golden State's the same way.
Though again, the train could leave the station just like it might have with Indiana yesterday, right? Are we then saying
split up half and half then, right? Whatever unit you're gonna bet half now. Wait.
Conversely, then are we both then saying the unspoken, which is we give the Knicks the least chance?
Man, yeah, I guess. No, I don't want to say. I don't want to say that. I think I'm still most bullish on the Thunder overall. I still am, but the Knicks one, I feel like I'm higher on them than some people because they're just a constant disappointment. The talent's there, Gill.
I just felt like we spent 2 hours and it was all one-way traffic on the teams that were favored, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
I don't. Again, I think that's as much respect as I could show the Knicks as I have not gotten involved in that series whatsoever.
Yeah. I'm sure Stormy will have much more to say about this. Stormy and JVT, of course. Money Moves, top of the hour right here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Enjoy.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.